Great game. 50 seconds to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hold in, Devontae.
Sure. And before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. Every Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, right? Every single morning, 8:30 a.m. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you know the drill. Smash that like button, share button, retweet button. And, of course, the most important one, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. The easiest and best way to get involved with the show. All you got to do is comment on YouTube. I can put your comments right up on the screen. We can interact and, get your opinions heard right on the air, just like if you're calling into the show. Just like I'm putting up here on the screen my comments before the show. Overreaction Monday, that is the name of the show today. And I smell a lot of overreacting happening today and all week on social media with the Eagles. So we're going to dive right into it. As always, on every Overreaction Monday, I am joined by my man, Mark Moscatelli, a.k.a. Philly Eagles fan. How you doing, Mark?
What's up, Phil? Thanks for having me again.
Glad to have you back. And his DSM Media debut on a show, because he's the newest member of DSM, but we see him on the TikTok. A TikTok legend, Kata Hot. Mr. Kata, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you. Normally Overreaction Monday is me, Mark, and Jason, all old heads. It's good to have some youth injected into the show, some youthful energy, and all shows
overreact to the best of them. I don't care what my age is.
That is what you are known for on TikTok, is overreacting. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't even know what the TikToker, ticker, whatever it is thingy is called, or whatever it actually is, because I'm too old for TikTok. But you've got me working on it. I put 4 videos on TikTok in the last 2 weeks because of you.
There you go. Keep going at it.
Yeah, I'm trying to inject some youthfulness into me. Anyway, DSM Media, all shows are brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT in below-the-waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM, the name of the brand, DSM at checkout. It does 2 things. It gets you 20% off and free shipping, but it also lets them know Team DSM is doing their job and doing their work and sent you there. So make sure you check them out, manscaped.com, promo code DSM. What's up, Scotty? Good morning. And it is time to get, like I said, right into Overreaction Monday. And boys, Mark, you know, because you've done a lot of shows with me, you know I'm a Jalen Hurts guy, but my opening overreaction statement for this Overreaction Monday is, I am wrong on Jalen Hurts. The Eagles need to do one of 2 things. Go all in like the Rams and go get an elite quarterback by trading at whatever they have to get. Or 2, they need to move, as George says, as many draft picks into the future, into 2023, so that they can draft, like the Bengals did, an elite quarterback at number 1 overall next year. So that's my overreaction after watching some fantastic football again this weekend. That Bengals-Chiefs game specifically just reiterated the point that you need an elite quarterback. And, I saw it. I saw a post. I don't know if it was Jacob Media or I forget which one of the Philly sites had it up, that it was an opinion piece. And it was basically saying, are we a lot closer to Jalen Hurts' ceiling than we realize we are? And it got me thinking, non-overreaction wise, about that, but overreaction wise, I am wrong on Jalen Hurts, and it's time to make some form of a plan to go get that elite guy. Mark.
No, I don't. The biggest mistake a team can make is deviating from their plan based on what they may have seen others do, especially if you think the plan is working or it's trending the right way. And I think with the draft picks that they have coming up, it's trending the right way if they draft right. And I'm going to give Howie some benefit of the doubt that he'll hit on these picks. Like I think it's – listen, would an elite quarterback be a hell of a lot easier to do and succeed with based on I saw the last 2 weekends? Absolutely. But I really want the Eagles to stay the course, and really what they can do is draft around Hurts and probably get him to the level that is needed to be Joe Burrow-esque, so to speak, in the playoffs. I really believe that if they get a veteran wide receiver, if they hit on the 3 first-round picks, 2 of which at least have to be defense. Like, if you start putting these pieces in place, then you got a well-rounded, solid football team that can compete with, the Rams and the 49ers and the Green Bay Packers and so on and so forth. I would stay the plan. I would not deviate from the plan and go out and get a Wilson or a Watson or draft somebody right now. Now, if Hurts fails year 3, and then okay, then now you have to maybe change up a bit. But give this dude one more season. He shows flashes. I think he can do it.
Okay, before I let you in here, Carter, the one thing you did just say, Mark, that you made a point about that I want to reiterate, all the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, all of them are all in the AFC. So on a non-overreaction point, Burrow, Herbert, Mahomes, Allen, the 4 top quarterbacks in the NFL at this moment probably are all in the AFC. We don't know where Aaron Rodgers will probably go to Denver, with his offensive coordinator. So there's another elite quarterback going to the AFC. So non-overreacting wise, the path to getting to a Super Bowl in the NFC is a lot easier for a non-elite quarterback. But Connor, am I wrong to say that my support of Jalen Hurts is wrong, and that's my overreaction statement?
No, you're not wrong at all. I agree with you 100%. I went back and watched some Jalen Hurts highlights a lot over the last couple weeks. One thing I noticed is he didn't really make a throw over 35 yards the whole year in rhythm in the pocket. Which is fine. You can make plays when the play breaks down, but you have to be able to hit those shots over the middle and deep down the field as an NFL quarterback. You just have to. And sure, he can maybe develop that, but I see Joe Burrow making these throws down the field, and even Jimmy Garoppolo made a nice throw down the field the other night to Ayuk. And I know he may not have the receivers yet, but those are throws you have to make. And I think Hurts gets one more year, because I don't think you're getting Rodgers, and right now I think Rodgers is the only one of those guys who makes sense, because we're not sure about the whole Watson situation, and Wilson didn't look that good this year. So I think you have to give him one more year, because the guys in this draft class suck, flat out. Kenny Pickett's a scrub. The rest of the guys are trash. So I think you're better off trying to go get a Bryce Young next year, or seeing what's available next year, because there's just nothing in this year's draft class.
Yeah. So yeah, like George has been pumping it up. You got to not take all your first round picks this year. I know I've been okay with moving 1 pick into the future. George has been wanting to move 2, and now as the weeks go forward here and the days go forward, I'm going to see and start doing some research. What can we, if we move 2 of those picks into 2023, what can we conceivably get back? Other than next year's pick, will we get another second this year? Because if we can move 2 picks into next year and get 2 extra second-round picks this year, 2 second-round picks added to our 1 second-round pick we already have, and 1 of our first-round picks, we can still hypothetically build a really good team around, Jalen Hurts. We could still improve the defense. We could still use our free agent cap money to go get that elite wide receiver. Maybe go get, what's his name from the Saints, the safety, Marcus Williams. We could still use some of that cap space to improve this team. Look, I know some are for, some are against Russell Wilson. I love Russell Wilson. He's like one of my favorite players. To address your thing, he did look bad this year, but that team was just straight trash this year. The offensive line, terrible. No running game, which is 2 of the things that we do best here in Philly. Their defense is nowhere near. It was probably worse. I don't know where it ranked, but eye test wise, it was even worse than the Eagles defense this year. So the question isn't would Russell Wilson and trading what it would take to get Russell Wilson here the right move or not. I think the bigger question would be, would Russell Wilson want to come here? Would Aaron Rodgers want to come here? Would Deshaun Watson want to come here? I know George is a fan of bringing Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson in here. If everything, cleared up, from him legally, I mean, what's he, 25, 26 years old? You go all in on an elite quarterback like that. I mean, I'm overreacting today because everybody knows I've been 100% on the Jalen Hurts bandwagon. But if you watch it, you bring up the throw to Ayuk from Jimmy Garoppolo. You watch some of the throws that Burrow's made, Patrick Mahomes made, Matt Stafford made yesterday. Jalen Hurts can't make those throws in the pocket. He just can't. At least he hasn't shown the ability to yet. So, and I don't know if it's an overreaction, that I'm jumping off the bandwagon so quickly after 2 football games yesterday.
Well, I mean, like, they were great. The last 2 weekends have been fantastic football. And what did we see all year? Mediocre football with some flashes of greatness. So yeah, I could see you getting the tantalized by getting that elite quarterback. I'm serious, man. Just stay the course. I think they can do it.
But today's Monday. It's not Tuesday. It's not Wednesday. It's about overreacting. I'm not staying the course
Listen,
on Overreaction Monday. I am
perfect-
reacting. I'm feeling emotional on what I saw yesterday. Okay? I'm feeling emotional that the Bengals took a first overall pick in his second year earned in the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow in one more year, he might be, if he wins the Super Bowl in 2 weeks, he might be the top 3 quarterback in the football now. You go get him an offensive line, improve that defense, the Bengals might be unstoppable for a long time. Patrick Mahomes, I think, could play in at minimum 10 Super Bowls in his career. He's already got a couple under his belt already. I mean, you need that. I've got the Super Bowl history up in front of me. And I know it's a little skewed because it's in the Tom Brady era and he played in so many. But if you go down the list of Super Bowls, last year, Brady versus Mahomes. The year before that, Mahomes was in it. The year before that, you had Brady in it. The year before that, you had Brady in it. You had, prime, what's his name? Cam Newton versus old Peyton Manning.
Cam Newton, stop it.
Prime
Stop
Brady
it,
versus prime Russell Wilson, Manning. You have to go back and find a Super Bowl where there wasn't at least one elite quarterback. You have to go back to 2013 Ravens versus 49ers. And that was Kaepernick's year versus Joe Flacco. Before that, you had Rodgers. Flacco was elite. Yeah. That's an overreaction if I ever heard one. So if you look at you got to go back almost 10 years till there was a Super Bowl where there was not at least one, if not 2, elite quarterbacks playing in the Super Bowl. So we need an elite quarterback. Can Jalen Hurts be an elite quarterback? Probably not. Can he be a top 10 quarterback? Maybe. But right now, my emotions are saying, dude, you got to go find Joe Burrow or you got to go find Patrick Mahomes. You got to go get Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, or move everything to go get Bryce Young next year. That's what you've got to do. That's what my emotions are saying right now. Kata?
I agree with you still. I mean, it's just, can they do it this offseason? Is it possible? Do any of these guys want to come here? Because you don't want to go get a guy like Aaron Rodgers, and then he decides week 2, I hate it here. I don't want to play here anymore. Then you just gave up all this draft capital for a guy who doesn't want to play here anymore. What are you going to do then? You're screwed.
Well, that's why whoever you bring in, there needs to be open dialogue before we brought them in. You know what I mean? To make sure that they're on page with Nick Sirianni, they're on page with Howie Roseman and what the process is going to be. And George brings up an excellent point. And we know that I hate bringing up the past in Carson Wentz. But, man, Joe Burrow – oh, sorry. Well, welcome aboard. Sorry, that wasn't the comment I was trying to bring up. He threw another one up there. Wentz would have done the same thing as Burrow if he hadn't been injured. Dude, I was thinking about this yesterday, about Carson Wentz and the what if. I mean, he literally, 2017, I know Nick Foles won 2 games in the playoffs there. Well, he won more than 2 games, but he had 2 great games in the playoffs. Great. But that was Carson Wentz got us there to that point. 2018, he got us back there again. He was playing great. Even 2019, with all the injuries, he put that team on his back and carried us to the playoffs down the stretch there. And if Carson Wentz does not get hurt, if the Eagles don't draft Jalen Hurts and make Carson Wentz a head case, man, Carson Wentz was everything. We hoped Carson Wentz was everything that Joe Burrow would have been and Josh Allen would have been.
And Carson Wentz was even bigger than Joe Burrow, too.
Yeah. And it was physical, too, early in his career before he started getting hurt and banged around. Everything Carson Wentz could have been is what we saw on display yesterday from Joe Burrow. And I know it's overreacting to Joe Burrow and his 23-year-old and his arrogant, his ego. And Joe Burrow just spews, confidence and swagger. And it's what we need in a quarterback. Mark?
Well, if you go back to Wentz, I'll say this. Before he got hurt, if he didn't get hurt that season, he would have thrown over 40 touchdowns. He would have been the MVP, and he would have whitewashed the Patriots. That game would not have been close. I'm telling you. He would have whitewashed them. But, he got hurt, and it did something to his confidence. And he has not been the same player since. And it's a shame. It really is a shame because he met the definition of an elite quarterback. I mean, that second year, he took a huge step. And he showed flashes of brilliance, but he couldn't stay healthy. He couldn't stay on the field. And something got into his head, and it wasn't going to work here anymore.
If you want to look at that 2017 team, obviously we had a really great defense that was playing great that year. They had a great offensive line. They had a great running back committee. They ran the ball effectively when they needed to. It's not like they had a superstar running back. And it's not like they even had a superstar elite wide receiver. They had they had Alshon Jeffrey. They had Nelson Aguilar, but they had elite tight end and Zach Ertz, who was still at, prime part of his career. So an elite quarterback play with elite offensive line play, something we have, a strong defense, it can get the job done. But it doesn't hurt Joe Burrow's type to have a Jamar Chase and a T. Higgins and a Tyler Boyd and, all that around him as well, obviously. But
so he has an all-star team around him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, if you think Hurts is the guy, put the all-star team around him, make the wide receivers make him better, kind of like what they do with Burrow. I mean, T. Higgins had a great game yesterday.
I think he had more catches than Chase actually yesterday.
He did. He was more of the focal.
He had more yards, but tied for the amount of catches.
Could you imagine Hurts with Higgins and Chase on the team?
Well, wasn't Higgins available in the second round to us? I'm pretty sure he was. We
took
Jalen Hurts instead,
but what deep shots did Hurts take all year?
Yeah, I mean, if he did take deep throat shots, they were while he was on the roll, and they were overthrown, underthrown.
Who does he have to take the deep shots with, though, Chris?
I mean, Jalen Reagor.
He missed Quez Watkins on about 4 or 5 of them.
But how many did your favorite Eagle, Kata? How many times did your favorite Eagle, Jalen Reagor, drop a deep pass?
That's true. He dropped what, 2, 3 in one game?
Yeah, in one game.
And then don't you think that's why Hurts maybe doesn't go deep, is because he doesn't trust the people that he's throwing the ball to?
That, I guess, possible. There's not just him.
Devontae can get deep downfield.
What's that?
Devontae can get deep downfield if they want him to.
Absolutely. Yeah. What I was going to say was, there's a theory, but maybe it's not just that, but maybe it's Nick Sirianni doesn't call the right plays also because of the lack of confidence in going deep as well. Maybe that's a point. Maybe it's not. But you just look at those games yesterday, and let's just start with the Bengals Chiefs game. And I know, Mark, you're not the biggest Andy Reid fan. I know it, and I know you've been chomping at the bit to talk about Andy Reid. I don't blame Andy Reid for the end of the game. Okay, I blame Andy Reid for the end of the first half that switched the momentum into the Bengals' favor. They're not going for the field goal there with 3 or 4 seconds left, trying to get one more play and trying to get a touchdown. That just flipped the script of the game. Now, the end of the game, I mean, you see it at the end of the game. He controlled the clock. He had his timeouts. He had his game plan. It didn't work out. That's fine. We can debate that if you want. But I think the Andy Reid mistake was at the end of the first half.
It cost him the game. Phil, it cost him the game.
Absolutely.
It cost, and you know what? And you've heard me on the rants already, because he thinks that he's smarter than everyone else. There are certain times where you take a risk. Don't get me wrong. There's certain times, dude. Just take those points and get. Didn't they get the ball back in the second half? Take those points and then build on it. But no, he's got to show that I'm Andy Reid and I'm smarter than everybody else, and I'm going to be a bully and I'm going to put this ball in the end zone. And the Bengals made a hell of a stop there. And then from that point on, their defensive coordinator, Lou something or other, an Italian last name.
Italian dude, yeah.
Yeah, he put the kibosh on their offense the rest of the second half. Mahomes did nothing at all. They locked him up. And they basically gave him time to throw, and he couldn't find a guy open. And it's a shame the CBS did not show why he was scrambling and not throwing the ball. They didn't show the coverage. A couple shots that they did, but they must have locked onto their receivers big time, because Mahomes was a non-factor, and he essentially helped lose that game. I think it was a Reid-Mahomes combo that lost that game for them yesterday. But again, had Andy Reid just taken the 3 points because he had like 9 seconds and no timeouts. Now you got to be fancy. I'm gonna go ahead and do what I think is to embarrass and humiliate the other team, and I firmly believe he does that. It backfired on him. He's 3-6 in championship games, 4 home losses as favorites in 2 of the most dominating home field advantages you have in the NFL. That's a disgrace. That's a disgrace, and that's why I don't like Andy Reid. I don't like him.
Got it. Do you agree or disagree with that?
So I actually think that going for it there, that didn't bother me. The thing that bothered me is a swing pass to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
like
got to go right to the end zone.
Go into the end zone. That you score a touchdown there, the game's over. They were never going to come back in that game. But to do a swing pass there, come on, it's terrible.
And
now, I'm not
Andy
sure
Reid
if that
still
was
play
called
caller?
or that's just what Mahomes wanted to throw to because Tyreek Hill's fast and thinking to outrun him, but it was a bad play.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was no room to outrun. There's no room at all.
No, there wasn't.
And that, like you said, that swung the defensive momentum into their favor. But also, you get the field goal there, 24-3 going into the second half. I know it doesn't sound like much, but 24-3 compared to 21-3 is a huge difference because you don't need 3 touchdowns anymore to tie up that ball game. Or 3 touchdowns takes the lead instead of whatever. But
Phil, could you imagine if he was still the coach of the Eagles and had a 21-3 halftime lead at home and let another home champion? They would burn his house down. They would go to a day. I'm telling you,
that might be a slight overreaction, but not much of an overreaction. Not much of an overreaction there. That might be borderline true. Look, say what he is. He still has made nine championship games.
Listen, he's
taken 2 teams to 4 straight championship games. So
listen, he's a Hall of Fame coach. He's a quarterback guru. He's an offensive genius. Don't get me wrong. But when the pressure is on and when push comes to shove, more often than not, he has failed. And eventually you gotta say, can Andy get me over the hump? Right. And he did 1 time out of 9 tries. That's, and if you want to, in 23 seasons, that's.
Well, can we give any of the credit though to Joe Burrow? Talk about swagger for a young kid.
Love that guy.
About no fear. I don't know. I mean, I know young quarterbacks have made runs before. Ben Roethlisberger was pretty young in his first Super Bowl. So was Tom Brady. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes pretty young when he made his first Super Bowl. Have we ever seen a quarterback that's this young, this early in his career? And I know they're a 4-point dog early, but there's a lot of people believing that Joe Burrow, in his second year coming off an ACL injury, could win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's amazing to watch, right? It's not an overreaction to say that his swagger is part of the reason why this team's where it's at.
Oh, absolutely. And that offensive line that he has is terrible. I mean, he's got a guy in his face every single time. It looked like the Eagles last year. I mean, it was terrible. And somehow he can still fight through all that, even if it's a little dump-off pass. I mean, he made that one pass to Mixon. It was only like a 4-yard pass, but he just lofted it over the linebacker, and Mixon caught it and ran for about 25 yards. And that was a huge play that I don't think a lot of quarterbacks make that play. They either overthrow it, underthrow it, gets picked, tipped, something. But the poise that he has, and nothing phases him. He throws an interception, he goes right back out there and throws the ball deep down the field again. Doesn't care.
It's crazy. Mark, do you think of anybody else? I mean, you're older than Cotter and me. Anybody else in your lifetime that you could think of that this early in his career had this much confidence?
Wow, I mean,
you think about when Ben Roethlisberger went on his run as a youngin. Pittsburgh had an amazing defense to back him up. If he made a mistake, you knew the defense was going to make the stop. I mean, Bengals have an okay defense, if not a great defense, overall. So, I mean, I can't personally remember.
God, I'm thinking dude, this is a big comparison, but Joe Montana. I mean, Joe Montana in his 3rd year took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. He was calm, cool, collective, and they have similar career arcs. They both won national championships. They both won Super Bowls. Let me stop there. Joe hasn't won one yet, but they both got to Super Bowls very early in their career. Listen, well, if we're getting the predictions, we'll talk about predictions a little bit later.
We got 2 weeks to make predictions.
Yeah. He's got swagger and confidence, and he's not messing around. And he has the best nickname right now in football, Joe Shiesty. I love it. I absolutely love it, dude. Joe Shiesty is going to bring home a title to Cincinnati, if not this year, in the years to come. You've heard it.
I will say, I mean, obviously you weren't, alive yet, Carter. The last time the Bengals played in the Super Bowl. Well, I'm assuming you look pretty young there. You might be fooling us. You might be 67 years old, just with a really pretty young face, The last time the Bengals were in the Super Bowl was the first time my dad let me stay up till the end of, obviously, Super Bowl Sunday's always on a Sunday. It's a school night. I was a young kid. It was the first time I was allowed to stay up. And I felt really bad. They obviously went up against Joe Montana that year in the 89 Super Bowl in the 88 season. 8 years old. It's been so long for the Bengals. And George is saying it here, right now, if you had to pick a quarterback in the league to build your franchise around, Joe Burrow's got to be number one or number two. It's number one for George. He's got to be one of the 2 or 3 first picked guys to build your franchise around right now in the NFL.
I don't disagree.
5 years. I mean, it's him, it's Mahomes, and it's Allen. And because of the swagger, I mean, I might take Burrow, Allen, Mahomes in that order to build my team around right now.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like that. Listen. You're comparing Wentz to Burrow before. Wentz does not have that swagger or command of a locker room. Joe Burrow does, and I talked about this on other shows. Intangibles, like he's got them. Like you can have all the talent in the world. If you're a dipshit and can't lead people, you can't be a quarterback in the NFL. You'll eventually fail. See guys like Jeff George, who had immense talent. He was a moron. He was a moron. So
Jeff George is like the old version of what Kirk Cousins is now.
Yeah, exactly. Like immensely talented. He's a bonehead. I mean, like you have to have those leadership skills. Joe Burrow coming from Ohio State, transferring to LSU, leading them to a title like that. That's some big boy stuff. And to come into the NFL in year 2 and make it to a Super Bowl with a team like the Bengals, who have a history of not being a very good franchise, that's pretty good, man. And I would like to build my team around a guy like Joe Burrow or Joe Burrow himself.
Okay. Let's flip the script to the other game though, because the other game didn't have any like elite top 3-4 quarterbacks. It had Matthew Stafford. He's probably a top 10 quarterback. I mean, you could argue where he is, 7, 8, 9, where in the league he's ranked, and a very average quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo, who plays well in big moments. Let's not take anything away from Jimmy Garoppolo. The guy has made a couple championship games. The guy, comes up big most of the time in big moments, except for yesterday with that awful, awful interception. I don't know what the hell he was thinking or doing there.
Bad.
I mean, that was probably the worst interception ever thrown in a championship game to close out a game ever. That was god awful.
You must not remember McNabb's throw to Rondé Barber. I
remember it, but I'm blocking that. That's part. I have a lot of repressed memories in my mind. That might be one of them, and you might have just brought it out. I might just go bury myself in a closet for the rest of the day now. So let's talk about that game though, because that game, brings up the topic. So the first game brings up trading your picks, doing whatever you can to get that number 1 pick, to get the elite quarterback in the draft. The Rams 49ers game is the other end of the equation. The Rams haven't had a first-round pick since 2016. It didn't work out with Jared Goff, so they traded even more first-round picks to get Matthew Stafford, to get a borderline elite quarterback, a top 10 quarterback. They won't have a first-round pick till 2075 at this rate. But they still are putting out a quality product. I mean, this is Sean McVay, whether you like him or not, his second Super Bowl in 4 or 5 years. Okay? He keeps doing it. So the question is, if you can't draft a quarterback that's elite, you go and you trade for one like Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, whoever it may be, whatever you go out there and get, Deshaun Watson. and then you build around them because you still have second-round picks, you still have third-round picks, and the Rams have done a great job with their secondary and third-round picks. I mean, Cooper Kupp was a late second-round pick. So looking at that game, is there a path to success for the Eagles from watching what those two teams did? Because the other path is the 49ers, going with an average, middle-of-the-road quarterback and just building a team around them. I mean, is there a path for the Eagles from watching that game yesterday, Kata?
Definitely could be. The big difference between the Rams and the Eagles, though, is the Rams had everything but the quarterback. The quarterback is what they needed. And the
Very
Eagles
fair
aren't
point.
that close yet. They need a lot of defensive help still. And I don't think they're quite there offensively either. Now, with a great offensive line, it covers up a lot of issues. But how long is that offensive line going to be intact, too? That's the other question is, okay, you go out and get Russell Wilson. Are they ready to win this year? I don't think they're quite ready.
That's a super fair point. I mean,
Yeah.
that's actually Jason texted me yesterday, Jason Voorhees, who will be on the rest of the week. He texted me last night because he knew I was going to overreact to the quarterback situation and jump off the Hurts bandwagon for one day and all this stuff. And he's like, dude, the one thing he learned from watching both games yesterday was that the Eagles are so much more than just a quarterback away from contending. Even though I say that the NFC is wide open, the NFC is going to be wide open with no elite quarterbacks in the NFC, for the next few years. I mean, their defense, their weapons, there's so much to go. So do you just build your foundation over the next year or two, and then figure out the quarterback situation later if you don't draft one? I mean, that is the theory there. Mark?
Yeah, I agree. Like Jason was right. Like they're not a quarterback away from winning at all. They are a quarterback, a wide receiver, a defense away from winning it all. And yeah, and I would say going back to comparison of the Rams basically building a championship team by trading their draft capital. I mean, honestly, it's not unlike the 2017 Eagles. They had a bunch of big-time free agents that they had signed or traded for, and their missing piece was having another running back, and they got Jay Ajayi in the middle of the season that helped put them over the hump. So you can win both ways, but the Eagles aren't close to being like the Rams. So I don't understand why you would want to invest in using all this draft capital to get an older quarterback who's super talented. Don't get me wrong, whoever it is that you choose, when you have so many other holes on the team that may not be able to be plugged with a third, fourth, or fifth round draft pick. And that's my concern. If you have all these picks, why don't you just draft them, and then maybe you can be the team to beat for the next decade. I really think that they're on the cusp of doing that if they use those first round picks accordingly, even if they trade one of them. But
I've been on board with trading one of them for a while. Two of them I wasn't. Now I'm thinking about it, and maybe I am. And to address, George said something before that, not giving them away for pennies. That's not what I meant. I just want to know what the value. Say you want to trade that 15th pick to 2023. What's the value of return of a 2022 first-round pick into 2023? What do you get back? That's what I want to figure out, like, the people that have done that, the teams that have done that, what's the average return on them? That's something I need to really do a little research on. But, yeah, I mean, he's been I love shouting out George here because he's been, for the entire season he's been saying, I've been talking and Howie's been talking, about it being a retool, a quick turnaround. But he's been firm on it. It's a rebuild. It's going to take a while. And George is spot on with that. And yesterday, like you said, reiterates that it's a lot further away than just a quarterback.
Maybe the thing that they should be trying to get is an elite edge rusher.
Oh,
Or an
absolutely.
elite pass rusher in general.
Absolutely.
Because that's the one thing that all four teams had yesterday. They all had an elite edge rusher, and they all made big-time plays yesterday. And Josh Sweat is good. Fletcher Cox is nowhere near what he used to be, and I don't think that Hargrave is elite at rushing the passer. Maybe that's what they need to do and go trade up and get Thibodeau or Hutchinson or see what's out there in the market. Maybe get a Hassan Reddick or something like that. Because they need a very good pass rusher.
They
If you
need
get
two.
one in here,
They
it
need
wins a
two.
lot of
They
games.
need to trade. They need to sign one in free agency, whether it's Reddick or somebody else, and they need to draft one. And I've
Yeah.
said this. Everybody's like, we want linebackers and cornerbacks and safeties with those 3 first-round picks. Let's look at it. Howie Roseman has a track record. He's been picking better than we think most years for a pretty good stretch now. He's a track record. He's going to draft edge. He's going to draft offensive line, and he's going to draft wide receivers with those picks if he doesn't draft a quarterback. Okay? That's what he does. But that's the foundation of most good teams. Edge rushers, like you said. You got multiple Bosa brothers just wrecking havoc in the NFL. The Watt brothers wrecking havoc. All the good teams have elite rushes. It makes your secondary better. It makes your linebackers better. It makes everything better. Mm-hmm. So getting one is great. Yes, we also need a cornerback. Yes, I know that. But, that's just not Howie's track record. He's going to sign one or he's going to get one in the second or third round, whatever it is. But you go get your edge rusher. You get another wide receiver because you need another wide receiver. I know it's not the popular pick, but that's just, that's just the way Howie Roseman drafts. So don't be surprised. If you don't want an edge rusher in the first round, then you might as well trade the pick because that's what this team needs almost as much, if not more than, a quarterback. And edge rushers, you can have a good edge rusher for the next 10, 12 years and go get in 3 years your quarterback and be ready to go.
Yep.
Yeah, that edge rusher, you're right. It evens the field a lot if that guy's constantly in a quarterback's face. Do you need what's he say? Do you need a first-round quarterback or
he's just hoping to find Tom Brady in the fifth. Because there have been a lot of Tom Brady's found in the 5th and 6th round.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. But getting back to the edge rusher, here's what the Eagles missed this year, and it's not talked about enough, was Brandon Graham. Brandon didn't get a lot of sacks. I think we all acknowledge that. But he stopped the run for one, and he was constantly in the face of a quarterback with pressures and knockdowns. If you see his stats, he was always up top the leaderboard with that. So without him all season and relying on Derek Barnett, who's been a bust, they weren't able to. They allowed mediocre quarterbacks to throw 90% all season long, and that I hope Howie recognizes that you need to get that invest in the defense really, and just invest and games are won and lost on the lines, offensive and defensive. I think they focus more on the offense than the defensive line. I think that's where their niche is, the offensive line. But the defensive line is just important. Get help on that line that is young and that can be the future of the franchise's defense.
I agree with you. It's going to be really interesting going forward how they turn out. Look, I want to talk a little bit of Sixers here in a minute, but real quick, we don't have to make predictions. It's 2 weeks away. Initial reactions to a Rams-Bengals Super Bowl in L.A. Rams playing home field, not that it matters, because even though they said they weren't selling tickets to 49ers fans, there were an awful lot of 49ers fans there on yesterday.
A lot.
A lot. I was sitting there thinking about how this is a home field advantage for the 49ers. Initial reactions, Rams are a 4-point favorite. I think that's actually a little unfair to the Bengals. Initial reactions, Carter, to this matchup. Do you think it'll be a good Super Bowl? Are you early leaning one way or the other? Any thoughts on it?
Early, I think that the Bengals are going to win. I think Joe Burrow he's got it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Joe Burrow and Stafford still made some throws in that game yesterday where it's like, he's still iffy on a lot of throws. What are you going to get out of Stafford? Are you going to get an elite Stafford performance, or are you going to get a terrible Stafford performance?
Mm-hmm.
And I also hate Sean McVay, so I hope he never wins a Super Bowl.
I do too, by the way.
I hope the Bengals win.
How is he only 36 still? I thought he was 36 like 36 years ago. I mean, the guy doesn't age a bit.
Doug was robbed of that Coach of the Year. I'll still die on that hill. I don't care. He beat him.
Well, here's the thing with the Bengals, like their offensive line isn't great and the Rams defensive line is spectacular. So that is a big concern. I want the Bengals to win. I really do. I don't like McVay. I don't like their owner at all. I don't like the building that they play in, and I hate their fan base. Like that. But that's me just being a curmudgeon old guy.
You are you are the
yeah.
curmudgeon old guy of DSM.
Yeah, I am. I'd love. I mean, listen, Cincinnati is, not unlike Philadelphia. It's a blue collar city. It's in the heartland. They've had a lot of misery for their football team. Their fan base is pretty strong, and I'd love to see that city win, just to see what kind of reaction. Because if LA wins, nobody will care. Nobody, unless it's the Lakers, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, I that's why I'm saying it's Overreaction Monday. Overreaction Monday, 2 weeks out from the game. I'm all in on the Bengals winning the game just because the emotions. That's why we got to wait. We got to let it marinate for 10 days before we really start, really predicting what's going to happen in the game. Because right now the Joe Burrow excitement, the hype train, the swagger train is all in full force. But that Rams defense is just, ask me in 10 days and I'll probably say that Rams defense will back them 9 more times. So, yeah. On a side note about Matthew Stafford, I mean, the guy takes a lot of hits, man. And he just keeps on kicking. I mean, he took that cheap shot. There were multiple cheap shots from the 49ers yesterday. Multiple. No flags called on them. And that boy just keeps getting up. And he did the same thing in Detroit. Every time he took a hard hit, that boy never misses a play, never misses a game. I mean, he is one tough SOB for sure.
I'll say this with Stafford too. 2 weeks in a row, and go back to Sean McVay as well. He saved his job 2 weeks in a row, if you ask me. He really has.
I agree.
I think he was a great trade for those guys. He's another guy, like, even if the Rams did win, I'll feel really happy for Matthew Stafford because, like, he did everything that he could in Detroit, and it didn't work out because Detroit's a lousy organization. If they do win, I'll feel good for him. But seriously, he has saved the jobs of Sean McVay and, to a lesser extent, Raheem Morris. 2 straight weeks with comeback wins. What more could you ask for from your quarterback? When you talk about, is he elite? Is he not elite? Is he top 10? Yeah, he's probably a top 10 on the downside of his career. And that's enough to get it done to get to the Super Bowl. So, again, going back to, you need an elite quarterback. Now, you probably need an above average to elite. Above average might get you there if you have everything around you, or mostly everything around you. So,
absolutely. So, Overreaction Monday here on DSM Media, trending in the AM. Look, we're talking Eagles, we're talking football, we're overreacting to the quarterback situation, but a similar situation with the Sixers. Sixers face Memphis Grizzlies tonight. They got a 4-game winning streak. They're 11-3 in the month of January. I said I wanted a minimum an 11-4 month. They got a chance to make it 12-3. Memphis is a really good team. But the talk in Sixers land is obviously millions of rumors surrounding Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, all the trades. But we're going to overreact to the Eagles needing to get an elite quarterback, should we be overreacting and saying, you know what, Daryl Morey, whatever it takes to go get James Harden, go get it done? And I've been, on the fence on James Harden, realistically speaking, for a lot of reasons. But if you look at the NBA and you look at the list of champions over the last 10, 12 years, outside of the Spurs, which the Spurs had really good players, they just didn't have super teams. Every single champion over the last 10 years has had multiple superstars on their team. So is it an overreaction to say the Sixers can't win a title if they don't go get another superstar to pair with Joel Embiid? At least one more. You look at the Bucks, they had 2, and they went out and got a 3rd in Drew Holiday to have a big 3 to win it last year. They don't win that title last year without Drew Holiday being brought in. So my overreaction is I'm off the fence. I'm on the side of Daryl Morey. Go get James Harden right now, whatever it takes. I love Tyrese Maxey. I love Matisse Thybulle. But you know what? Give him up. If you got to give him up and you want a title this year or next year with Joel Embiid, go get James Harden right now. Carter?
Just get him in the offseason. It's going to cost a lot less. I don't think they're going to win anything this season, even if they get Harden here. They just don't have enough, and I don't think that Harden brings enough right now that it's worth giving up Maxey and Thybulle. Because I think Maxey may be that 3rd star that they need if he develops a little more. It's just they do need a second guy who just kills it out there, like Harden or Beal or even Jimmy Butler. One of those type guys. I know they're not going to get getting Jimmy Butler. I just miss Jimmy Butler. But
I still rock my Sixers Butler jersey.
I do too, man.
They
Still rocking.
need that second guy who can just get you a bucket whenever you need. Because right now, the one thing I've noticed a lot recently with Joel Embiid is they are doubling him a lot.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure how that's going to hold up in playoff time. Sure, he gets to the line a lot. But can you get to the line? Can you win the game by getting to the line all the time? Or do you need to hit those shots to win the game? That's my question.
Where are you, Mark, on the James Harden? Am I overreacting saying just go get him right now?
No,
I don't care
want
what
him.
it takes.
I don't want him on the team. I don't think. Again, intangibles. I don't think he's a good team player. I just don't. I would listen. As weird as it sounds, I would consult with Embiid. Embiid, what do you want? What do you want? Because for the longest time, they did everything that they could to protect Ben Simmons, and it backfired on them. And Embiid has done everything in his power to keep that team together and to continue to win. The guy is unbelievable. Every night I watch him, and he's putting up 30 and 15 like it's nothing. And like protect that man at all costs. And having Simmons in this sitting out this season is not helping the team. And giving up Maxey and Thibault for Harden, which is probably what it's going to take, or some combination, you're back at square one. You don't have depth on the bench, and you don't have a defensive presence like Thibault's been unbelievable defensive wise. And I know you got to score points, but god damn, he's really good, man. Yeah. And Maxey is listen, he's coming out of the shadow of Ben Simmons being, the point guard of the team. Like he's solidifying himself as part of the team. Don't give – you have to concentrate on getting rid of Simmons for something. And then, like you said, like maybe you chase Harden next year. Tobias Harris is another guy. Like, he's too on-off every night. If he could just be on.
Tobias Harris is supposed to be the third star, not the second star. And that's the problem with Tobias Harris right now. Okay, so then you guys are not in agreement to go do whatever it takes. Last week I said as overreaction, I compared Joel Embiid and his season he's having, which if he scores 34 points tonight, he takes over the lead in NBA scoring, which I never thought a center would take, like a center like Joel Embiid would ever lead the league in scoring again, because it's all about the Giannis's, the LeBrons, the point guards, and the guards and the gunners, the guys that shoot nonstop. They're the guys that lead the league in scoring, not centers anymore. But anyway, last week I had said that Joel Embiid is having as good of a season, if not better, than Allen Iverson in 2000-2001, when he put a bunch of scrubs on his back and carried them to the finals. So what's more likely? Embiid to carry this group of scrubs to the finals, or going and getting Harden and Embiid taking this team to the finals? Because I could go either way on the overreaction. I could say overreaction, Monday, Embiid could carry this team better than Iverson carried that 2000 team, or go get Harden now, and Harden and Embiid gets us to the finals. One or the other, because I got to pick one side or the other.
I think part of it for me is I don't think I ever remember, at least in my lifetime, a center carrying a team like this.
Well, you're like 14 years old, so that's
I
why
know, but like even Shaq had Kobe.
Yeah,
like
center is not the position it used to be in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So you are right in saying that, but Embiid does things that I've never seen a center do. I mean, he could pull up a jumper. He could hit a three. The guy is, and for a guy that learned how to play basketball watching YouTube videos of white guys shooting 3-point shots, he's an amazing athletic talent. He is absolutely amazing.
Now he's like a center or a point guard too. I mean, the guy's dribbling. I mean, he started working on his ball handling like 3 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden he's dribbling like Steph Curry out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. I mean, the things he can do as a basketball player. I mean, everybody years ago, they used to compare him to, he could be potentially like Hakeem Olajuwon. And I know, Cotter, you weren't around for the Dreams, era, but we watched the Dream play, and the Dream was amazing. But actually, Joel Embiid right now is playing better than the Dream did, because he's doing more than the Dream did. Now, he needs to do it over a longer period of time to be better than Hakeem, for the career and stuff like that. But, if you don't want to get James Harden, can Joel Embiid carry this team? And what's the ceiling of a team led by Joel Embiid and no other stars? Because, I mean, history says that you need multiple stars to get to the finals or to win a title. But, you know, can Joel Embiid sustain this level of success that he's been having? What's he played 21, 22 games in a row? You know, he's scoring 30 plus points all but one of those games. You know, is that enough? Because look, he's 28 now, you know, Joel. He's only got a window of so small. You know, his window's like this big of elite play. I want to see him get a title. I want that success to pay off in a title. So you don't want to waste it. But can he do it on his own?
I'm still worried that it's going to happen. Our worst nightmare is going to happen. It's happened every single year. He always gets hurt. That's what I'm worried
every time
about.
Every time he falls, I make that little face every time. And playing point center, he falls even more now that he's taking it coast to coast and driving to the basket. But you got to block that part of it out right now.
That's hard to block out. It really is. I mean, when he's stumbling down the court every single time. Now he's gotten a lot better. I've at least seen like some of his dunks. When he lands, he actually looks somewhat athletic.
Mm-hmm.
But like just one awkward fall and it's over. The season's over.
Yeah.
Just be concerned he doesn't hurt his feet. Big guys who hurt their feet are usually done. So, and he's had foot problems before. It's been quiet. He's had the meniscus problem with the knee, but he's motoring through that. You know, he's a young guy still, 28, and he's playing the best basketball of his life. Should they do something to get the team over the top? I do believe that, but not at the expense of some of the young players who are contributors every night.
Here's the counter to that. So if you don't agree that Joel Embiid can dominate enough to carry this team on his own as the team is currently constructed. All right, say the Ben Simmons trade doesn't happen and he sits out the whole year. Say they don't move Tobias Harris. But can they, you know, because I keep going back to it, this team's missing Shake Milton because they don't have a backup point guard really right now. But Shake Milton is only so good. He's not really, you know, the fact that we're missing Shake Milton just goes to show how bad our depth at that, you know, in the backcourt is. You know, if they go out and get a veteran backup point guard to back up Maxey, whoever it may be, you know, and improve, maybe upgrade Shake Milton, upgrade Furkan. So you upgrade your bench with two pieces, with small bench rotational pieces. Depending on the pieces, can that be enough to take this team to the next level this season? And then you worry about Harden and Simmons and all that stuff next season.
Yes. Basketball is a team sport.
I mean, I don't know who those vets are that are available.
Yeah, I don't either. But if you're putting everything on the shoulders of one or two players, you're destined to fail when they have an off night. But if you have other guys around them that can step up, and they don't have to be superstars, you have a much better chance. So I'd like to see them get that third piece, but probably in the off season, if they want to make a run by getting a backup point guard somewhere for a second round draft pick or something like that, go ahead and somebody serviceable that can just, you know, take away some minutes from Maxey when he needs a breather. I would go ahead and do that. I wouldn't massively disrupt the core of this team for the run this year. He's got a lot to work with. He's got Maury saying he's got a lot of things he has to do. I mean, in season trying to trade Simmons has been an outright disaster. And you know, thinking about signing Harden, and he's been flirting with him for a while now. He probably should have pulled the trigger when he first got here, the Simmons for Harden deal for if that's what you wanted. Yeah, now he's going to be like 2 years older, and you know, does he really want to be here? I don't. He's one of those guys that's trying to chase a championship, and he went to the Nets, and it's not working out. So now he's going to come to the Sixers, and what if the chemistry isn't there, and you know, he just kind of, you know, checks out. Like I don't like guys like that. I really don't. So. But
right,
I'm rambling. Go ahead, Phil.
We got 4 minutes to wrap this show up. You know, we would not have thought this, but the Sixers are only 1.5 games back of the 1 seed. They're in the 3 spot at this moment, all with just Joel Embiid and a bunch of other guys. They play the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. An excellent team, also third seed, but in their conference, but a much better team. But it's at home. Carter, can the Sixers win against the Grizz tonight?
With Joel Embiid on the floor, anything's possible. I think they can win.
Yeah, that's a fair enough point. Mark, do you think the Sixers stand a chance tonight against Memphis? Because this was the game I had, starting the tough stretch, because now coming up in February, we have a much, much, much tougher, schedule this next month.
As long as Doc Rivers doesn't make decisions that keeps it closer than it should, yeah, they should win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, tough team. Memphis is great. Ja Morant, in fact, he's already an all-star. He's playing fantastic basketball this year, Ja Morant. But I had their stats up here. I'm bringing it up again. They got 4 guys on their team. 4 guys averaging over 16 points a game. That you don't think of Memphis in offense, but they got Morant 26. They got Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson, all between 16 and 18 points a game. That's pretty damn well rounded right there offensively. And a guy like Steven Adams, he's not an offensive juggernaut, but he's one of those veteran, hard-nosed, tough, gritty centers that sometimes tend to give Joel Embiid a little, little extra pushback. And that is my concern for tonight. Can Joel Embiid continue his dominance and not because we've seen it this year. Some of the guys that have given Joel fits in the past haven't this year, because he's got, I kind of feel like Joel has a different mindset this year. So it'll be interesting to see how he, performs tonight against Memphis down at the Wells Fargo Center. Big win tonight, hopefully, against Memphis. Let's close this month off on the right foot. Real quick, we didn't do it at the beginning of the show. Today's National Calendar Day, National Backward Day. I don't know what the hell that is. Inspire Your Heart with Art Day. No. National Bubble Wrap Day. Why?
There you go.
Yeah, and this National Day should have been yesterday or Saturday when it was cold as hell. National Hot Chocolate Day. Maybe I'll brew myself a cup of hot chocolate today, but that's all we got there for that. They're pretty dumb national days today, aren't they?
The key to good hot chocolate is you put like 3/4 hot water with the mix, and the rest you top off with a little bit of milk and a squirt of hot chocolate syrup and stir it up. That's how you do it.
Yeah, there you go. That's some
marshmallows optional.
Some great hot chocolate knowledge from Mark Muscatelli. Did your grandmom teach you that or something?
Oh, I found that out on my own.
Okay.
I said there's got to be a better way.
There's got to be a better way for everything in life. And the better way is listening to DSM Media every single day, because there's fantastic content from fantastic people every day. Kata Hot, our newest TikTok member and member of team, make sure you're following him on all social media. We got to get him up. He complained that he doesn't have enough followers on Twitter, which is Kata Hot. What is it, 76 or 79 or
79,
something like that? Yeah, 79. Follow him on Twitter and Mark Muscatelli as well as me. And make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube page. That's the best way to interact with the team. Literally, we got 16 shows a week on the YouTube page, plus shorts, plus all different kinds of content. Make sure you're following us. Turn those notifications, that little bell on the screen. Click that. It'll notify you every time we go live. You don't want to miss it. And we're brought to you, as always, by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products. Check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM at checkout for 20% off, free shipping, and let them know Team DSM sent you. Look, we got a long 2 weeks as we get ready for the Super Bowl. We got a lot of Eagles talk, a lot of Sixers talk to go over, guys. Carter, how did it feel to do your first show, Carter?
It feels great. Obviously, I'm still not as comfortable around the camera yet, so I'm getting there.
Yeah,
but
it's no different than TikTok. It's just an extra long TikTok.
Yeah, it's just different talking to other people. Usually, I'm in my own basement, just around other people, just screaming at the TV. But now I actually have to socialize with human beings, which isn't good for me. But
yeah,
but no,
you
it's
did a
fun.
great job. Fantastic job. And Mark, it's always a pleasure to have you on here on Mondays.
I love being on this show. Keep inviting me, brother.
Yeah, you know it. The Monday show is the me and Mark show with a little bit of Jason sprinkled in on Mondays. So anyway, everybody stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll be back. I'll be back to more realistic talk tomorrow with Jason. Make sure you're following us and get ready to go tomorrow. Everybody, thank you. A lot of new people on YouTube tuned in today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Everybody have a great Monday. And be well and go make yourself, Mark, a cup of hot chocolate now.
I'm going to do that right now.
Hey, go Birds.
Go Birds.